Hi everybody, I hope you're all doing well. It is an absolutely beautiful morning here in the south of England on this lovely autumnal day, autumnal Sunday. I'm feeling very at peace today. I know that might sound very strange, as if this is abnormal, but autumn is my favourite season. I feel like the cooler temperatures and the stillness of it just charges me up. It really makes me quite zen and calm and collected. And I woke up mega early this morning, but I was sat reading and I watched the sunrise, and as I was reading and such, and I just felt this complete calmness this morning that I want to relish in the rest of the day. It's truly a wonderful, wonderful season, and I love it so much. So this week I've been working, but of course on Monday we said goodbye to Queen Elizabeth II in what was one of the most beautiful services I've ever seen. I cried multiple times during the course of everything of the day. I think she would have been really proud of her family and how they handled themselves in the day, and it was lovely, absolutely lovely. And yeah, I've just been working. I've been, doing this, that needs to be done. And I've only got 5 more working days, and then I'm off on my holiday to Stratford-upon-Avon, the holiday that I had to cancel in June because of train strikes. I reorganised for not long now. God, only 5 more working days, and then I'm off on holiday. Oh, I've needed it. But yes, so that's why I'm in this kind of like very calm, very zen kind of state of mind at the minute. I can't be bothered to blow dry my hair because I'm like, I just want to revel in this peace and quiet rather than having the hair dryer. But I have got my window open and airplanes are going over my house. So yeah, if you hear planes, sorry about that. I can't control it, but there you go. And just FYI, I finally got my copy of Agatha Christie by Lucy Worsley. It took 2 weeks for Waterstones to get it to me, and it had to be ordered specially from the publisher because they just didn't have the stock. But I have got it now, so yay! I'm very excited, and I adore that cover so much. I can't explain it. It's just so freaking beautiful. But anyway, I am here to review the book I have been reading this week, which is The Girl by Catherine Cookson. This is the third Catherine Cookson book that I have ever read, and in case you weren't aware, for my birthday my sister gave me like all of her Catherine Cookson books, which she had put away to give away to a charity shop and kind of forgotten about, as it were. She still had them because of COVID. There was various restrictions on charity shop donations and such, and there still kind of is here in the UK, because people were just clearing out their houses when they couldn't go out, and then donating various things, and they got inundated with stuff. And yeah, and I was like, because I'd just gotten into Catherine Cookson thanks to the TV drama collection I bought myself for my birthday. And I was like, oh, you can't really get hold of Catherine Cookson books. I'm going to have to look through charity shops. And she just gave me her 16 book collection, and then I've bought a few more. I bought 4 more, just to clarify, since then. So I guess I've got about 20 Catherine Cookson books now. And so this is the third one of hers that I have read. The previous one's been A Dinner of Herbs and 15 Streets, 2 very different books. Dinner of Herbs was like 800 odd pages long. The 15 Streets I think was about 200. So this is in the middle at about 400. So yeah, quite different. Now, The Girl, just so that you're aware, is about a girl called Hannah. Hannah arrives with her mother at the house of Matthew Thornton, who is Hannah's father. She is an illegitimate child, is Hannah. And her mum goes, look, I'm really ill. I need you to take care of Hannah. And Matthew's wife, Anne, is really appalled by this. And Anne and Matthew have got 3 other children, 2 boys and 1 girl. Sorry, no, let me get that right. No, it's 4 children, because hang on, no, 3. I'm getting the names muddled up in my head. That's what doesn't help, because I'm thinking, because there's other families as well and connections. So yeah, 3 children, because it's the 2 girls and the 1 boy, and yeah. And one of the girls is just like her mum, stuck up and horrible and evil, and the boy and the other girl are very, very kind and gentle, quite like their father and such. So Hannah arrives, and her biological mother hands Hannah over to Matthew and says, "Look, she is our child. I'm ill. I need you to look after her." And promptly dies, literally, like she leaves the house and drops dead. She's gone. And so this follows Hannah through her childhood into adulthood, and her relationship with a man called Ned, who is from the village, and she first encounters him when she is 10 and he is about 17, and it's when her mother has fallen ill and collapsed on the road on the way to Matthew's house, and it develops their relationship from there and tells their story. I fell in love with Hannah and Ned's story when I watched the drama. It was, I believe, my 4th favourite drama out of the lot, because I ranked all of them, just for me and my sister and our bestie Sarah. Hi Sarah, hi Laura, if you're watching this. I fell in love with their story. I thought it was wonderful. I really liked the drama. So I went into this. The thing with Catherine Cookson dramas is that what I have found from the 2 experiences I've had so far, Dinner of the Herbs, well adapted, but there were things that they took out and switched around, which you can totally understand, because it is such a big book and they did it over 5 hours in 2 parts. So, you know, and if you know that story, you know that book, you know that there is a lot going on and so many characters popping up and everything. So I totally understand the editing that he did around that. 15 Streets, because it's so short, it is pretty much word for word, verbatim, conversations, everything adapted into the drama. So it's like I said, that is probably the best drama adaptation I've seen, from page to screen. And the girl kind of sits in the middle in regards to that it is very, very closely done. But when you get to the last section, there is a bit of change around, which I will talk about in a bit. But first, look at the book. Now, this was written it was published in 1977. I don't know the exact year in which it was written, which sounds strange, but Catherine Cookson wrote over 100 books. And she was 20 odd years into her writing at the time that this was published. So I don't know if she wrote it alongside other books, if she started it, put it down, started another one and then came back to it, you know, that kind of thing. But in 1977, the period before that, a significant change had happened in Catherine. She had discovered that she had a medical condition which meant that she could conceive children, but she couldn't carry them to term, and any that she did carry, sadly, were stillborn, and she went through 4 stillbirths in that 15-year period. She had a mental breakdown. She had voluntarily went into psychiatric hospital for amount of time and had various treatments done, and she went through a lot. And 1977 was around the time, either right near the end of that 15 period, or this was like the first year after that period ended. So she was either in her kind of reflective ending conclusion of going through this dark period, or she was already there and going, right, I've stepped out the darkness now and here I am. And I think you can feel that in her writing in this book. This book felt so autumnal to me. And by that, I mean, just as autumn recharges me, I feel like this book kind of, in a way, recharges Catherine. It goes through these many stages, and there's bits of darkness and such, and then she has these bursts of light that pop up. And I kind of feel like that's probably reflective of what had happened to her. So I want to read you a bit of something. Usually I do a reading and I, just focus on one bit, but there's like 3 different bits that I want to read from this today. So here is, right, one thing I forgot to say. This book is split into 4 parts, and the first 3 parts begin the girl and then has a description of what's happening to her in that section. So I'm not going to tell you the descriptions because obviously spoilers, but the last section is just simply called the woman. So we see Hannah progress from this young girl to a girl who was learning through her life to the woman that she becomes. There is a major shift in Hannah, and I feel like that major shift in Catherine is also reflective here. So this is the first page of the first chapter of the woman section. It was July. The world was bright outside. The hills were blue, green, purple and black, and the sky was like a white veil trailing over them. She'd been able to get up out of bed now for 3 days and to sit by the small square bedroom window. Her chair was low, and the sill shut from her gaze the back earth yard, and the dry midden at the bottom, and the ditch beyond, in which the residue of the village flowed into the river. How long had she been in this room? 4.5 weeks as she counted the days, but 4.5 lifetimes as she went by the changes within her, for not only had her body lost its flesh, but her mind had lost something too. Never again would she feel young. Never again would she count her age in years. Never again would she think as a girl thinks. At times she was devastated at the change that had taken place in her being, but at others she recognized the inevitableness of it. She had caused so much havoc in one day that had it not wrought a change in her, that she would have questioned whether or not she was even human. She could have accepted her change of environment and quickly adapted to it for 2 things: Fred's mother and Fred's hands. I'm not going to explain who Fred is because spoilers. But there's something about that opening, how she does the contrast of colours to the sky, how she does the being locked in a room and the losing of flesh and being alone and her sense of loss, but also recognizing the growth that has given her and how much she has changed. I feel like that's Catherine trying to explain to her readers the struggle that she had been through for 15 years. And I just find that absolutely extraordinary. And so I feel like when Hannah leaves that room, it's like she's getting this massive deep breath of cold fresh air, and that's why I've seen it feels autumnal. I feel Hannah's change in the depths of her heart and her soul, and it's just absolutely wonderful to read. I just, yeah, I can understand that perhaps people might not get that connection because they might not have known exactly what Catherine was going through in that time. But you do have that authors pour out their experiences, the ways that they see the world in many different ways, either the way that they describe nature, the way that they have characters go through things that they've gone through, the way they refer to darkness and light, and it can be truly eye-opening when you look at a book from a perspective of the author, or in this case, I mean, I've never been through anything like Catherine has been through. I have had my struggle with mental illness, and so I can sort of, from that area, but it's a completely different than what Catherine went through. I've never been to hospital to deal with it or anything like that. So I can only go so far with my my way of connecting, so to speak. But yeah, when I read that passage again, knowing what she had been through for the past 15 years when 1977 hit, I just marvel at the way that she's written that. I feel like this is, in a way, this is going to sound very bizarre. I kind of feel like The Girl as a novel is kind of like a Taylor Swift album. It's, and by that I mean Taylor Swift, literally for her fans, every single album rips out her heart, her soul, and shows it to us. She allows us to explore it. It's kind of like going into folk. I feel like this is kind of like folklore. If you were to put various books, assign them to an album, this feels like folklore. The 15 Streets, I think, would be fearless. And A Dinner of Herbs, I think that would be, oh, I feel like maybe Reputation. I think that could be yeah, because there's a lot going on in that and various scandalous things that about Reputation and such. So yeah, if I had to assign Catherine Cookson books to Taylor Swift albums, this would be Folklore, and Folklore is such an autumn album, even though technically it's meant to reflect spring and summer, and Evermore is autumn winter, because of Hannah and the way she sees the world and beauty, and there's some dark stuff in Folklore in that album. I think that this sits more with Folklore, but yeah, I feel like Catherine really opened her heart out to us in this. And I love things like how she refers. I notice a lot more in this book how she uses colour and talking about light and such. So like here she says, it was a lovely day for walking. The sun was bright but not warm. There was a pale mauve light resting on all of the hilltops, and when you looked up into the sky, your eyes were lost in the never-ending whiteness through which you could you could see right to where the stars were. That's beautiful. That is absolutely stunning. I think I've got another one here. Let me just see. I've got so many things that I cornered down. Oh no, that was something else. That was a possible reading to do. But yeah, I do love. Oh no, wait. Here we go. This is what I wanted to talk about, which I haven't talked about yet. I lost track on my Taylor Swift came into my mind and just completely distracted me. One thing also, I'm going to give 2 readings about this particular thing. Right, Catherine Cookson, in my my interactions with her books so far and the dramas, I have said multiple times how she is completely true to her roots. She had encountered people in her life who she reflected in her books, and people swear and do whatever the hell, it's not a case of everything is pretty and beautified and stunning. There is a deep, dark reality to all of her books, and you feel it, especially in The Girl. But I love the fact that she gets deep, dark, and real when she's talking about characters and describing them. So this is what I love. Well, here's a description of one of them, right? So, Hannah had been living her new life for 3 weeks. At times, it felt like she'd always lived there, and she would have liked living here if it hadn't been for 2 things. Firstly, she missed her ma. And secondly, she didn't like the missus. She was afraid of her. Every time the missus looked at her, she thought she was going to hit her. She thought that she could like the mister, but he didn't speak to her much, although he too looked at her. But it was a different way from the missus. And she wholeheartedly liked the children. That is, all except Betsy, because Betsy was a spiteful bitch. Betsy's a little, quite young. Okay, she's probably about, maybe about 12 at most at that point. But it's like, yeah, Betsy's just a bitch. Oh, Catherine. And so, yeah, Betsy was the horrible child that I mentioned earlier. And this is a description of Anne, who is, the mother of Matthew's children, and so the mistress of the house. And this is the description of Anne, and I think it's just sensational, right? Anne Thornton was a tall woman. Her fair hair and pale skin emphasised the clearness of her rounded blue eyes. Her nose was small, her lips full, almost overfull, but well-shaped. She had neither bust nor hips to speak of, but what she lacked in those parts of her anatomy she rectified by means of padding. I think that's brilliant. I think that is brilliant. Oh God, it's just, I just absolutely love that she's been a lot more sharper and brutal and describing. And even like Hannah, when she's with the servants as such, as a child, she's not overly keen of them, but they become like her best friends. And I just love that, she's brutally honest with this book, not just about characters or situations or the landscape or anything, but brutally honest about the depth of how her leading character is feeling. Oh God, I've just realised, no, there's 4 kids. 2 boys, 2 girls, and then Hannah, and yeah, that's it. No, there's 4 kids in the book, but I think there's 3 kids in the drama. That's what I'm getting muddled up in my head. So sorry about that. To clarify, there are 4 kids in the Thornton house, then Hannah comes along, but in the drama there are 3 kids before Hannah comes along. That's it. So yeah, I really think that this is Catherine's most brutally honest book that I have read so far. Just want to clarify that I have read so far. And I like that. I feel like she's not afraid to go deeper and darker into the depth of her soul and her feeling, and go through things that she has struggled with and kept private before. And I can only applaud her for doing that. I really can. And I finished this book and I just thought, wow, I want to read that again. I just, there is something about Ned and Hannah's story that I have loved since I watched the drama. And so I was like, right, I've got to read The Girl very soon into very early on into my read through of the Catherine Cookson books, and I decided to make it the 3rd one, and I'm very glad I did. It was absolutely beautiful. Now, when it comes to the drama, the changes, as I said, for the bulk of it, it is exactly the same, but they do shift with the timeline, because the last section of the book, if you watch the drama first, like I did, you would think that last section only lasts maybe 6 months. It's more like 2 years. So it's like, oh, okay, so they've really rushed the time scale. I get why they did that, but it was a bit surprising when certain things happened in the book, which, well, a key thing happens in the book, which I'm not going to say what is because spoilers, which doesn't happen in the drama, but it's going to happen after the drama. You know it's going to happen. But in the book, it's like, yeah, this is happening right now, right before we go on to the next bit, which is how, the story ends and such. So it was like, okay, that's quite startling. And there's one other change, which when I watched the drama originally, it kind of irked me. But now I know it is a change from the book. It's just like an irk to the writer or writers who adapted the drama. I don't know the individuals who did, or individual if it was just one person. So when there's a bit with Ned when he is drunk, and he's talking to Hannah, and he's talking about how he feels about her. And it's pretty, there's a lot going on this day with everything, and I'm quite surprised Hannah is just sat there listening to it, but she does in the book and she does in drama, so fair play to her. And he talks about how intoxicating she is and how he feels about her, that he loves her. And he says, I have loved you since the moment I saw you like running across a field. That's I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember the specific word for word. And then you have this slow motion sequence thing to show the moment that they meet, which is the first minute of the drama. And it's like, that's a bit weird, because the actor playing Ned in the past, when he's meant to be about 16, 17, is the same actor playing Ned when Hannah is grown up. So he's playing Ned at 16 and playing Ned at 29. And it's just like, so when he's talking about the first time I saw you running across the fields, I knew I wanted you. And it's like, that's a creepy image. That is a creepy image. Thinking of this little girl running across a field and he's running after her and that you were attracted. So it was a bit like, okay, that hasn't aged well. Now, here's the thing. In the book, however, he doesn't specifically say that. What he says is that he had dreamt of Hannah before he knew Hannah existed, that he dreamt of finding his soulmate, to this person who he could open his heart and soul to and hold and be one with forever. He just didn't know that Hannah was that person. Why didn't they put that in the drama instead of that line that makes it sound like he was sexually attracted to a child, and then have a shot of him running after her in slow motion when she is a little girl? It's an interesting choice, but I think the writers might have but also need to remember, of course, that if it was a case of that Catherine had written that, she's also writing about a period of time in the 1850s when things were said which, you know, we wouldn't get away with now. And even this drama, which I think was from the 90s, things were able to be said then which would not be able to get away with now. So yeah, that's that one line and that slow motion shot after that line. If those two bits were cut out, then I wouldn't have a criticism on the drama. I really wouldn't have a criticism. That I really love this drama. I think it's really, really well put together, really well acted, great cast. It's got a good flow to it, and I'm going to sit and I'm going to watch it right now after I finish recording this, because I need to spend some time with Ned and Hannah. So yeah, if you want to check out the drama, then do. It is really, really good. But as I said, there's some ever so slight changes, and if it didn't have that one line and that one shot in there, it'd be like up right behind, I think, A Dinner of Herbs, because Dinner of Herbs, that drama, I love that drama so much. It'd either be like joint second, I think, or just slightly behind A Dinner of Herbs in second place if it didn't have that unnecessary bit in there. But there we go. So those are my thoughts on The Girl by Catherine Cookson. Now it's time for my usual questions. Would I read this again? Yes, definitely. And I definitely make it like an autumn read, like just a comfort read. And I love that 1970s cover. It's so gorgeous. Oh, it just, yeah, the colours, even the copper colours, it's autumn, isn't it? I love it, love it. Would I recommend this to anyone? Yeah, definitely. This one doesn't, I mean, there is some cruelty elements in this, but it's not to a degree like how you have in like Your Dinner of Herbs. 15th Street has had some violence, but it was more like men just kicking the shit out of each other. But this has more, it does have that kind of men kicking the shit out of each other violence, but there is other violence in there to do with accidents and a bit of child abuse from Anne to Hannah as a child. But it's literally only one chapter, and then it's anything that else after that, it's her saying horrible things and only referring to Hannah as the girl. But just so you're aware, in case you're sensitive to any of that kind of thing. So yeah, I definitely recommend it, but just flag that element to it. Would I read any more Catherine's books? Well, yes, definitely. The next book I'm reading is another Catherine's books. But yeah, The Girl is definitely going to be one that's going to be sticking around on my bookcase for quite some time, because yeah, it's just what I needed in this week. It's just what I needed, and I'm so glad I read it. So those are my thoughts on The Girl by Catherine Cookson. Have you read this book? I'd love to know what you think. Leave a comment in the comments box below. Leave me a thumbs up, thumbs down, entirely to you like you said. And I'll be back with my thoughts on my next read, which is The Ragmaid by Catherine Cookson. This actually has two other titles, because the drama is called The Rag Nymph, and I found actually this morning online, because when I was checking about Catherine Cookson and her timeline of her biography and everything for The Girl, I found this is known as the Ragmaid, the Ragmaid, the Rag Nymph, and also another name which is like the Forgotten or something like that. But I will confirm that for my review of this when I am done reading. All right then, guys. Bye.